This is the Bill O'Brien Podcast.
That's pretty cool. Whenever he says that, I'm like, that's pretty cool.
With your host, John Meterparel.
Caught past the 25 to the 20 to the 15, goes Bond to the 10 to the 5 towards the end zone and in. Lewis Bond is the Eagle in the end zone, and Boston College is on the board. 32-yard pitch and catch. I don't even have to ask.
Think about it.
Take a bow, Lewis Bond. How do you like that?
Producer, Ciaccio.
Ciaccio was like
The gerbil in the back was cranking it up.
Yeah,
The Bill O'Brien Podcast.
this is a huge upgrade.
I'm thinking, this is not bad.
Yeah.
Not a bad way to go through
That's a
life.
cool.
Episode 29. I feel like we need the Mission Impossible music.
Insert music here.
We've come this far.
Are you going Red Sox? Or are you going Celtics? Or are you going Patriots?
All right. We have a special guest here who is not number 29. We'll get to him in a second.
No, he was not number 29.
He could have been.
He was a
back in the day.
quarterback.
Playing Pee-wee football, maybe. No, I am going Jay Miller.
All right, I like that one. I love Jay Miller.
That's the one I was going to pull out.
Based
And
on
I
Mike
hope
Milner,
I'm right
it was.
about this, but I'm going 2011 AFC Championship game, Sterling Moore.
Wow. That would be
Look it up, Chach.
Patriot
All right.
defensive back.
Yeah.
Broke up the pass.
Broke up the pass. Scott Mutryn, any nominees?
Well, thanks for having me. I'm going back to my roots. Cleveland, cornerback, the original dog, Hanford Dixon.
What? That doesn't count, though.
Yeah.
Can't be throwing out
What are you
Boston
talking about?
Yes.
Football guy, one of the original
You're
dogs. That is, I mean, you guys, this
We got
brought
to
me
start
into
setting
this.
some rules
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Meter.
But LeGarrette
All
Blunt.
right. He listens every week.
LeGarrette
He knows
Blunt
the rules.
is a good one.
LeGarrette Blunt's a good one. But, come on. Keith Folk.
Keith Folk, yeah. He was great. He was
Yeah.
closer.
It's the guy that ended it.
What about Bobby Dahlbeck?
Soundbite here.
Yeah.
What about Bobby Dahlbeck? Is he 29?
Yes, he was.
But there's probably a reason you didn't bring that one up.
Why not?
I mean, he was
He
mid.
had 1 3-week stretch.
I saw him play for the Worcester Woohoos or whatever.
Did you go to Woohoos?
Yeah, last summer. My kid was playing out
State of
there.
Worcester.
Because the Red Sox have put their AAA team there, that has revitalized that city in many
Worktown.
ways. Yeah,
Took my kids a couple times.
yeah, that's a cool little park.
Awesome park. Yeah, they did a great. Larry Lucchino, the late great Larry Lucchino.
No question,
built it.
no question.
I think you got to go Folk. Here's the thing with the Celtics: they've only had 4 number 29s.
Really, only you would know that.
And plus, it's not a really desirable number. Like, think about it.
Who would know that the Celtics only had 429?
I mean, he's
Don't
got
even
the
start.
sweatshirt
He's
on today.
Cliff Clavin of
That
sports
is a-
information. That's
Look,
what he does.
You know, I love Meter. He's the best. He's got incredible. He's a Boston legend. But that sweatshirt,
Take
I
notes.
just,
you have a tan Celtics sweatshirt on.
Yes.
If you're going to have a Celtic sweatshirt on, it's either going to be green, obviously,
yeah.
Look at
or
that.
it's going to be black with green
You know why
letters.
this popped?
It helps if the mic's up.
Excuse me, Mike. 101.
We need to start putting this podcast on TV.
Yeah.
Then people can see
take a pic.
what
We'll
this
post a
guy's
picture.
Gladly wear it
wardrobe
for
is.
It's
That's
literally
right.
like once you walk into Marshall's, it's like that first
Yeah.
stand, and he
throwaway
grab it.
rack.
Yeah,
50%
it's like,
off.
yeah,
It's like the $5 rack.
Right, we're getting rid of these sweatshirts soon.
Yes.
They're going to end up
It's like
like
the-
to some missionary
Yeah,
village
like Ben
somewhere.
Affleck.
It's like the job. It's like the Ocean State job lot. They sell that at that.
Yeah,
That's not even close to what Ben Affleck
This is
wore.
what he wore in
That's-
Goodwill Hunting.
Yeah.
Oh,
How do you
no,
like
it's
them
not.
apples? Yeah, right.
it's not even close. Maybe the town. When they're trying to
Retainer.
hide
Great movie.
people.
Great movie.
Retainer.
You know who's on the other
Retainer.
night? The Departed. That's a great movie.
It's
Great movie.
The problem is it comes on at 11:30, and then I'm sitting there watching
Yeah,
it, and
it's-
it's 1:30,
yeah,
2
you
in the
gotta go to
morning. I'm like,
sleep.
what am I doing?
The Departed had
You know-
a terrible ending.
You know what's on every weekend now that football season's over when I'm home a little bit? Braveheart. What a great movie.
That was a great movie.
But Colleen doesn't like Braveheart, so every time it comes on, she's like, I can't believe we're watching this movie again. I would watch that movie every weekend.
From any
It's like
part,
3 hours
too, by the
from
way.
any part.
Yeah. It's
that-
one of those drop-ins.
Pulp Fiction's mine. My wife hates that one too.
Jeez.
I love Pulp Fiction.
Not a
That's
big
a wild movie now.
It's a great movie.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Yeah.
Is that the movie that you have to keep watching, Braveheart? Mine's like The Hangover.
Yeah, I don't know. I would watch any Rocky any time of the Rocky 1, Rocky 2, Rocky 3. I'd
Christmas.
watch it.
It's always
Love
on.
The Hangover.
No
I'm just
question.
confused by the Hangover for you. Like,
I love it.
Because
one of the
why? Because
funniest
you're the
movies.
guy that got left in the roof.
Yes.
It's like you're
I'm Mr. Chow.
even better. Get locked in the trunk of a car. Okay, even better. I can see where this is going.
Yeah.
Mr. Chow. I did a Celtic Heat game once, and Ken Jeong was there.
Oh, he's
courtside.
hilarious. Yeah,
He's a
very-
Duke rat.
Cedric Maxwell's like, isn't that the guy from The Hangover? I'm like, yeah, Cedric, that's Mr. Chow, whatever his name is. And they put him on the scoreboard. I can't describe what he did, but remember what he did at The Hangover? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
God love him, he's doing it
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
No, he's very
In
funny.
front of 19,000 people.
Yeah, no, he's a
doing
funny
that.
guy, though. He's a funny guy.
He's
Embrace your
awesome.
identity.
He's one of the
He's a
top
funny
guests
guy.
on College Game Day too. I sent you
He
that
is.
clip.
He's good.
It's
Ken Jeong's
hilarious.
Doctor, by the way.
No question.
Doctor at Duke. All right. Welcome, Scott Mutryn.
Yes.
One of the
Thanks.
BC
Thanks for
greats.
doing this, Scott.
Oh, always great to be with
A
the
BC,
fellas.
a BC guy, a BC man.
Yes.
When we go out on the road and we recruit, and by the way, speaking of like when we talked about last time about flipping the quarterback room, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for guys that, really understand what this place is all about, what it means to play football here, go to school here, what the degree can do for you, giving back to the community, all the things. That's what we have, in the quarterback room right now. We're very, very excited about that. So it's good to have a former Boston College quarterback in the room right now.
You know, when this guy was recruited, he was one of the top recruits in the country.
No question.
I remember, I told you this. I think I was in London for school. My dad kept sending me clips from the Globe. And he kept sending clips. Scott Mutryn, BC Radar, Scott Mutryn,
Yeah.
coming to BC.
No doubt.
What an
this
epic
Mutryn
failure.
Who is this Mutryn
Stop
kid?
it.
But I was like, man, this kid must be really good.
Yeah.
The Globe's writing about him every week.
Fooled you.
Back in the day.
There was during those years, there was a string of BC quarterbacks that were very, very good over the let's just call it an 8 to 10 year period. There were some really good quarterbacks here.
It was a great, there was kind of the trivia question: how many quarterbacks? What school had the most quarterbacks in the NFL? And BC was in there at that time.
No doubt.
When you had Matt and Tim,
Yep.
Mark Hartzell,
Yep.
you had
Brian St.
Brian
Pierre.
St. Pierre, right in that
Yep.
in that kind of genre in there, and we kind of made a good name for ourselves back in the day. But it is funny when I remember talking about the quarterback room. That was one of the things I wanted to kind of get into is the position. I remember when you were at Georgia Tech when we played down there, right?
Yes.
Yes, in '98. I
Oh.
remember that.
We were good too. We were
It was?
10-2, but
That-
one of the losses was to the BC.
Yeah, that was one of my.
Oh, boy.
They were in good shape.
I
Tom
worked with
O'Brien.
this guy in Cleveland back when I started, named Scott Camp,
Yeah, oh, yeah,
who you knew from Brown.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I know. Crazy
I
world.
recruited his brother to Georgia Tech, Brian Camp.
Yeah. And we talked about that game. I was like, that was we were not expected to play well that game, and going down to Georgia, it was like 115 degrees.
But you guys were in better shape than we were.
Yeah. And we
Tom O'Brien.
yeah. Mike Cloud had a game.
First game for Tom O'Brien? Was that his first year?
No, second year.
Second
Second year. So-
Mute still has nightmares about Tom O'Brien.
He spoke to the team this year. His son is our linebacker
Yeah.
coach, Dan. And so Coach O'Brien came in and spoke to the team before we played Pitt. And he was great, man.
He's
He had the seniors in the room stand up, and he asked everybody else, like, you need to give these guys your best tomorrow because this is their last home game. That whole deal. It was very cool. He did a great job.
All-time BC winningest coach.
Oh yeah,
Coach
no doubt.
O'Brien is like I don't know if you hear the stories about playing for guys or whether your parents are like when they become grandparents they're not the same people.
Yeah.
Like and you see there and it's just like this is not the man that raised me. He's buying you candy and going to do this. I was living in Charlestown and I was running down by the shipyard and I run into Coach O'Brien and mind you when I was a starting quarterback that year in 1998 I think he said maybe 30 words to me the entire year and probably 28 of them are not repeatable and all of a sudden he flags me down and starts talking to me and I start looking around like is there a camera like what's going on, invites me over for dinner and our relationship like I've seen him a bunch of times, he'll come to the games and it's great catching up with him but it's just like this is not the man you played for but he's such a good guy and I never really knew how much he really liked and respected me till literally the end of the year banquet. he was up there doing the award ceremony, and he was saying all these really nice things. I'm like, wow, this guy's, he really thinks a lot of this guy. And then it says my name, and I looked to my parents. I was like, wow, didn't expect that one.
Yeah, he's. I think that's all the good coaches have that, where they're trying to do a good job of leading the team and making sure that everybody understands the standards and all that. And they seem like there's probably times where kids would tell you now where I don't know if that guy really likes me or whatever it is about me, but like at the end of the day, we really appreciate the guys that, the smart guys, the guys that showed up every day, the consistent guys, the guys that tried to, carry the message in the locker room of what you're trying to do. And then 10 years later, maybe you have a beer with them. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're probably like, who the hell is that guy?
Well,
But that's kind of the way it is.
Well, yeah, the respect was earned. You
Yeah.
felt that
Yeah.
you earned his respect, and
That's right.
as a player, that's what you really
That's
want.
a big
right?
deal, yeah.
Like the glowing accolades and stuff are nice, but the respect is what you hang your hat on.
No doubt. Yep, no doubt.
All right, Meach, so you're in that room today. What
Mm-hmm.
are you telling Dylan Lonergan or Grayson James about soaking up coaching advice?
We talk about this a lot on the broadcast, and I've studied and watched the quarterback position a lot. It's evolved so much, and I wanted to ask a question to coach on this, but the responsibility put on the quarterback's shoulders when I played was a lot different. I started with Dan Henning, who was an NFL guy, and when we would run 2-minute drill, we called the plays.
Yeah.
He put it on us, and we'd run it in practice live at the end of every practice, and if we didn't have a call, he was on us. He didn't follow the 20-hour rules. Like, he would lock us into that room, and we spent Skelly. We watched 2.5 hours of Skelly, which was like 20, 7-on-7, which was like 20 plays.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can do 2.5 hours of that, but Dan found a way to do it, and he could critique and the position of your footwork and this and everything, how he would get into the weeds with it, and the responsibilities put on the quarterback. Coverages, blitzes, you'd have to watching blitz tape, you'd have to know all these different things and to be prepared for it. And I just think a lot has changed. The communication helps a lot, but with the quickness and pace of the game, a lot of these guys don't even know, let alone middle open, middle closed. A lot of them don't even know a lot of the intricacies of the position, and to understand you're running this play to get into a certain situation, or you're trying to get into this void, or we're trying to take advantage of this play, and to understand the whys, and not just, hey, I'm going to throw it here. And I just think it's a lot, because in the pace of it, you don't want to overburden the quarterbacks, but the more that they can process is the more that you can trust the guy out there, right?
Yeah.
And the more you put on his shoulders, and I'm sure, obviously it's the greatest ever when you with coaching with Brady, but when you have a guy that you can give that amount of responsibility to, it makes your job so much easier.
Yeah, I think, I would say we probably you would be more familiar with how we coach it relative to your experience with Coach Henning and Coach O'Brien. We put a lot on their plate. In fact, I would tell you in 2-minute, we encourage, especially towards the end of the year, Grayson. Grayson is a very bright guy, so he was able to, right hash. He knew what we would want to call in this situation versus this team. So he would almost be able to anticipate what the call would be, even though we're probably sending the call in. But yeah, we will have a quarterback school in the spring where we before spring practice in February, really. And we'll bring them in and we'll teach them, obviously, our system. We start back at the foundation. Every year is different, right? So we teach it all over again. So, okay, here's our system. Here's the run game Mike points. Here's the protections. Here's the routes. Here's the reads. Here's, soup to nuts. And then we teach them defense. What you find when I was in the pros and you would go to the combine and interview quarterbacks and things like that, it was always amazing to me how little they knew about defense. And I tell all the young quarterbacks that Brady could coach the secondary. He literally could go over there and coach the corners and the safeties. He could coach them. Drills,
Right.
coach them, coverage responsibilities, what they had, this is what they're doing, adjustments. It was amazing. And so I think once you have to, I always tell our guys, look, you have to master our stuff. You have to master our system. You've got to be the coordinator on the field. And then you have to master what's going on defensively, because, that's a big part of what we do. And I think that's why, in the end, Grayson we were able to elevate Grayson, because he, time and time again, overcame injury, came back and showed us, man, this guy kind of knows how to run the show.
Yeah.
and he's able to get us into the right play, get us out of a bad play. So yeah, I would say the way we coach it would be very familiar to you relative to 2.5. I don't know if we're 2.5 hours on 20 plays, but Meter, you know me, like we certainly obey the 20-hour rule.
Yes,
of course.
We don't. We don't.
Well, it's funny though. A good friend, and you guys have mentioned him in the past before, is a good friend of mine I grew up with in Cleveland, where you'll be this week, Nick Ciaccio.
Yeah.
And we grew up together.
Yep.
And he's now the general manager for the Texans, and he's come out to the games for the last how many years,
Yep.
even when he was with the Patriots.
Yep.
And we would talk quarterbacks, and I would ask him, how's the evaluation process with some of these guys?
Yeah.
Because it's tough to figure out what's translatable. And he told me a story about when the Pats had Jimmy Garoppolo, how he didn't know any coverages, and then one of the assistants was Jerry Shaplinski,
Yep.
who's a friend as well, Cleveland connection, as you can see.
Yep.
But he was like, he had to sit there and teach him and like write down details of like what film to watch, what is this coverage. Some of these guys just don't get that.
Yeah,
and it's scary when you think about it, because you're investing how much money into these guys, and they don't know it.
Yeah, that's a big thing, and I think that I have a strong belief that you've got to know what's going on defensively. How does your personnel, your formation, your motion affect what they're doing coverage-wise? One of the places where we kind of, I wouldn't say perfected it, but we got better and better was I worked at Alabama with Alex Mortensen, and he's the coordinator at UAB now, but we coached Bryce Young together, and Bryce Young was a brilliant kid. And so we were able to give him a lot of information about coverage and coverage adjustments. And, hey, when we put passing strength into the boundary, that's big in college. Like, you know, if the nickel goes in there, it's probably man. If the nickel stays to the field, it's zone. And so we were able to, you know, give him a lot of tips and what we call tells to anticipate, because you know this better than anybody. You know, people talk about arm strength. Of course, you got to have a decent arm,
right?
And you know, you have to be intelligent. You have to have leadership qualities, work ethic, and all that. But you got to be able to anticipate. If you can anticipate once the ball's snapped, you have an idea where the ball can go. Then you know you have to react. You have to react to what something happens that's a little bit different. But anticipation and accuracy are vital components to playing the quarterback position, and so that's how we try to coach it.
That's why when you watch Jaden Daniels,
Oh, he's incredible.
the game slows down for him.
Yeah.
He's the best rookie quarterback ever.
Easy now. He's great.
Best rookie campaign ever.
Peter, go back and watch Dan Marino.
Yeah.
Dan Marino threw
No.
how many touchdown passes?
I reresearced this.
No, of course you did, but like,
Jaden Daniels. All right, you want to get 1A, 1B?
look, I'm not. I think. Let me make sure I'm clear here. Jaden Daniels, what he's doing is incredible.
Incredible.
But like, you know, to throw out the best rookie quarterback ever, like, there's a lot of years in the NFL, man.
There is.
And a lot of different eras and a lot of different types of players. But he is great, and he is one of the things that he has that stands out to me is he is so poised. Nothing rattles that kid. And he's got that rare ability where, you know, he can throw and anticipate and all that, and then he can run.
It's insane.
He's a great runner, so that's a huge
Perfect example of what you're saying is that anticipation and accuracy. Those are the two things I harp on all the time. And you see a lot of these younger quarterbacks, they'll go to these camps and do everything, and they can go through drills, and you can do drills. But there's nothing you have to, very infrequently, if you go drop back 30 times, 5 of them are going to look like you drew them up on the cards.
Exactly.
Right? So the other 25, you got to figure it out. You got to anticipate. You got to be accurate. And accurate is not just a catch. It's putting it in a catchable place where the receiver can maximize the run after the catch.
Right. Yep.
And, you know, Daniels makes that great anticipation throw down to the goal line there where he threw it out,
Yep.
saw man coverage, let his guy go out. Like, that's the stuff that's going to separate you
Yeah.
as a quarterback, because it's very infrequently like how you draw it up in practice. You can give him all the scenarios, but someone's going to fall, someone's going to pop open, something's going to happen differently. How do you respond to that? And they're so programmed, you almost have to be like, hey, you got to play with a little bit of a little brashness too, right? You got to be able to, like, okay, this may look like it's covered, but I got to be able to trust it and let it go.
That's the thing. Matt Ryan, segueing back to Boston College, when Matt Ryan came and spoke to the team, one of the things he said about how much he loved playing, why he loved playing quarterback here was because he had some really good receivers. A lot of guys that made a lot of plays for him, but there weren't a bunch of 4.3s running around that created a bunch of separation. No. And so he had to be so accurate, and he had to anticipate, and that really helped him when he got to pro football because the coverage was so tight. He had really improved his accuracy at Boston
You talk
College.
about it all the time, the windows.
Yep.
How they have to fit everything into a window.
Yep.
And those windows close so quickly in the NFL.
Yep.
And you saw that when you moved to the Patriots camp, you told us.
Yeah, I still remember in camp with Pete Carroll, and I passed up a guy. We were just, running the old school 396 F flat.
Yep.
This one. So I pass up the F flat, and I throw a curl, and I throw actually a great ball, put it on the guy, and Pete's like, why didn't you throw it to that guy? And I'm like, he was covered. And he goes, not in the NFL, he ain't. And then I was like, okay, so it's a whole new ballgame.
It's a different deal.
It's a whole new ballgame.
Yeah.
Because he was right on his hip. He was literally on his hip. In college, if you're throwing that, you're going to be like, what are you doing?
Right.
But not there. NFL, that's open.
Welcome back to the NFL. Pete Carroll, too, by the way.
Yeah, you're cut the rest 2 weeks later.
How about that AFC West head coaching tree? Harbaugh, Peyton, Andy Reid, Pete Carroll. That's a gauntlet.
All
right
the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame
That's
group.
All
right
collecting
there.
I was
retirement,
surprised by
too,
that.
Social Security.
That Pete came back.
I know, 73.
He loves it. He's a
But
very
got the
young
energy of a 43-year-old.
So,
He's out there throwing.
That's what everybody
he's throwing
says.
routes.
he's throwing and
He
catching
loves
the
it.
ball.
Yeah, he's very active. Brad Seeley, who worked with me in New England, and then he worked for me in Houston. He and Pete are real close. Dante Scarnecchia is close to Pete. They'll tell you, Pete played beach volleyball, pickup basketball. He's a very active guy to this day.
So you're saying you want to do 2-on-2 like Top Gun, me and you versus Meter and Ciaccio?
No, well, we dominate these two. But
Beach volleyball?
Kidding me?
Play the cue, the music.
I'm ripped up like that. I'm good.
I'm one of those guys in 2-on-2. I just shoot threes. That's
Anthony
it.
Edwards over here.
I just shoot threes.
do any of them go in?
my
I'm like
God.
Steph Curry.
I want to see you shoot a three.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God,
No.
Meter!
Not in that sweatshirt.
That's a sweatshirt.
When Bears
would be
edits,
I'd go down to Earl Grant. I'd say, "Earl, give me
make sure
give me
we
a
take
titty."
that one out of this 29 episode. Meter just said I'm just like Steph Curry.
No, that's staying in.
Pretty close. Just a couple
my
years
God.
older.
That's definitely.
Oh my God!
Hey, when I was in Charlotte,
Oh, here
God,
we go.
here we go. All right, story time, everybody. I was working in Charlotte. I'd go to all the Hornets games, cover all the Hornets games. Glenn Rice, Larry Johnson, all those guys.
Yeah, they were good then.
Del Curry's playing for the Hornets.
Yeah,
You
So,
posting up Muggsy Bogues?
well, yes, that's the one guy in my life who I ever posted up. Tyrone Muggsy Bogues. But we used to walk into the arena, and all these kids would be shooting, all the sons of the players. And there was one kid at half court
Oh yeah,
making half court shots, probably like 4 out of 10. But he was like 6 years old.
yeah.
Steph Curry.
He's incredible.
I thought you were going to say it was you.
Could have got a futures on that Meter.
No
He
kidding.
had a rough night last night. They played the Lakers,
Yeah, they
and
did.
he's got
Yeah.
a bad hand. He
Yeah.
only had 13 points. But how about LeBron James? I mean, I'm just telling you, that's incredible what he does. His game yesterday. He's 40-something years. He's 40 years old.
I'm a huge LeBron fan. Everyone here
I
hates
mean-
me because of it, but I do.
But it is incredible whether you're a fan or not. Or
Celtics played zero defense against him the other
that
night.
guy. How about when he went and dunked on Porzingis? He backed up into the fray. He was like, I want no part of
The
this.
best is when he just takes off like a freight train.
Oh.
You familiar with that? It's
I
clear.
watched him
haven't
in
seen
high
him in
school.
person. Like he's a tight end. I mean, he's just
He's
a
a tight
massive
end.
guy. He's 260 pounds.
I watched him in
Yeah,
high
it's hard
school
to
when he
stop.
was playing. They had a high school. His high school team was obviously very good, but he's playing like Oak Knoll, which is like
yeah.
one of those teams. And it was on ESPN, and it was a huge game. And I remember they had like 5 D1 commits, and it was him and his team was good. One other kid played in college D1 basketball. But that was, you're watching something special.
Oh,
At
yeah,
17,
you knew it,
18-year-old,
yeah.
this is something that does not happen. And now we're 23 years later, and he's
Incredible.
still doing it.
Incredible.
He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. What,
Yep.
18, 17? It's like the can't miss kid, Bobby Carpenter.
St. John's Prep.
St. John's Prep. It all comes back to the prep.
It usually does. It usually does.
I know it does. Prowling the halls of New England high schools, there's a legend walking amongst the halls. Bill Belichick,
Yeah, man.
St. Sebastian's, Mute's kids' alma mater.
All 3
Still
of us.
another
I have
boy
one
there.
there, a
That's a great
freshman there
school.
now.
I spoke to the St. Sebastian's leadership group the other night at Wellesley Country Club. It was
I was
really
supposed to go
great.
to that.
What a great group of people. It's awesome.
At
Brendan
Wellesley
Sullivan,
CC?
the AD.
Great track.
He's
Brian
a
Lynch.
great guy. Yeah.
Wellesley
There's
Country
lots of
Club.
people there.
Yeah.
Like I got the invite to that. I couldn't make it.
was
Sorry
good.
about that. I'm sure you did
good.
awesome.
Doc Healy.
Sure, it was great.
Oh, Doc
was
Healy's
great.
one of
Yeah.
the legends. Do you laugh when you see Belichick in high school?
I mean, it is what it is. We're all recruiting, and there's some good players in Massachusetts. And his connections obviously up here. He's but it's competition, man. We have some really good guys committed in the class of 26, a couple in the class of 27. So, we're not saying that we own Massachusetts, but we will make sure that we are in every school. I've probably been to 20 schools in Massachusetts over the last couple weeks. So we're right there. But there's a lot of schools. Sharon Moore was in St. Sebastian's this week to see Marky. I probably can't mention his name, but anyways, they've got a great player there. So
You have a player there from there now. Early enrollee.
Kalen Chudzinski, who's doing a good job. His dad's on the staff, and
God love you. You're wearing your sweatshirt. You got
I
your
got my
hat on.
new 480s, my Celtic 480s.
Yeah, which is what you wear to these recruiting visits.
all the time. For me, it's a conversation starter. I started doing that at Alabama, and the kids, they love the shoe game. So I had Nike
they?
Dunks there, and now we're New Balance here. So I've got like 30
480s?
pairs of these 480s.
Are those like Celtic New Balances? They're green.
That's what I call them.
You should. You should
they're
dub
green.
them Celtics New Balance.
They're not tan. They're just little green.
10 Celtics sweatshirt.
Got any 10 and a
Man,
half?
I'm getting
He's going to
some heat
ask.
for this sweatshirt.
Got 30 pairs. You got any 10 and a half?
Josh,
I
he'll
do,
never
yes.
wear that sweatshirt again.
No,
after
you got
tonight.
11
We're going to
and a
have
half?
to
It's
burn
gonna go
that.
right back to
I-
Marshall's.
this is my
I bet
Sunday
it still has a tag
sweatshirt.
on it. To tell you the truth, I bet it still has a
Sunday
tag.
Go right back to Marshall's, right on that
Bob
tag.
Stores. Remember Bob Stores?
You still have the tag on
Does
that?
Mute know about your candy?
Oh, yeah.
He's a child. By the way,
He's probably got a pack of something in his. There he goes.
Oh,
in
my
his
God.
pocket.
He
Been
loves
there for
Virginia
years.
Tech. He loves Virginia Tech because the press box stocks it with candy.
Oh, that's
And
incredible.
all of it on
It's so bad.
it's literally bad.
Mute, this is your first experience with the podcast, obviously. And when we first started, he would bring Coach some candy.
Yeah.
And we would sit here for 35 minutes talking, and he'd be like, "Oh, by the way, Coach, I got something for
He'd
you."
reach
He'd
into
reach in
his
his pocket,
pocket. Been there for a
melted
year.
candy bar,
No, it
Swedish
wasn't
fish
melted.
all stuck together.
I just went to
But
five
it's like
below
the
five.
stuff like my kids don't even eat.
Yeah,
It's like
oh
the
my God.
lasso sugar, sweet and sour
it's
stuff.
stuff
that
you never heard of.
Yeah.
He's like, "Where'd
it's
you get
toxic.
this?" And he's like, "Five Below."
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Five
like,
Below.
I've never
It's just
seen
awful.
this before.
Swedish fish.
No, you
Yeah,
got like you didn't
Swedish
get
fish.
normal Swedish fish. You got
No,
like
I got him Snapple.
Snapple
Yeah,
Swedish
it's
fish.
just gross. Like no one eats that.
In defense of Meter, some of the candy that I received from him is incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
Like the different types of Kit
oh,
Kats.
what was that?
and
The cinnamon toast crunch,
cinnamon
Kit
toast
Kit Kat, or
crunch,
something?
Kit Kat.
well, you're off that.
But then there's other things that I'm like, yeah, I'm doing a 30-day.
How's that going?
What day are you
what?
not?
Cleanse, isogenics.
What does that entail?
It's 2 shakes a day, and then like chicken and broccoli at night.
He eats
brown
kale.
rice.
Do you get hangry?
I'm doing okay. I'm hanging in there. My Colleen is very supportive of it. Yeah, it's not easy.
Does she make you different types of chicken?
No. We get a Wegmans bowl
Oh.
every night.
Can you do the
Wegmans.
rotisserie chicken? Can you
It's
do that
the
or
chopped up chicken.
Oh,
No,
okay.
with broccoli and brown rice.
no? Sounds
Your
exciting.
Wegmans
And
guy?
then every week, once a week, you got to fast.
Like no for a
No
whole
eat.
day?
Water.
Like, no shakes?
Nothing.
Nothing? Oof, I'm out.
That's a tough day.
They talk about you like doing that 3-day water fast is supposed to do like amazing things. I have a lot of friends that are doing the dry January and stuff like that.
Yeah.
a lot of
That's this
life
too.
life changing things.
Yeah.
Let's start a new year off
Yeah.
and figure
I'm
it
talking
out.
to the beer guy
It's only
about dry January.
the way that I convince myself every day is it's 1 month. There's 12 months in a year, so for this 1 month, I'm on day 14 right now. Today's day 14. This is exactly 2 weeks today.
Yeah, but it's hard. Like today, we're taping this on Sunday. You got the AFC NFC Championship game. You want to sit down with a cold one.
Yeah, but I
some
got plenty-
chips, some
Buffalo chicken.
nachos.
Yeah, of
some
course I
guac,
do. Thanks,
you know?
Josh. Appreciate it. But
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
that's
here
not
for.
helping.
but I'm not going to do that.
You're gonna have your rice and
I got
chicken.
that middle of February. I'll get back to having a
Burger.
a couple chips and
Yeah.
a burger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, middle
Usually
February.
the bean pot is when everyone kind of comes out of their January.
Are you going to
their
Bean
malaise.
Pond?
I'm going to try. I tried to go last night to the game. My son was under the weather, so we couldn't go. But what a game last
Great
night!
weekend.
How about hold on now? It was crazy how that game started. That the goalie went out on the ice too early, and Pandolfo was not happy about
Oh my
that.
God! I saw the press conference. So the rule. I've learned this stuff, by the way. When it's a rookie lap,
Yeah.
so they were letting him do a rookie lap.
Oh.
But you're not. There's strict protocols that I guess you have to follow. The TV guys were talking about it, and the kid is like, literally, I don't know where he literally came from. The USHL from Omaha. He's literally wearing his Omaha
he did
Lancers gear. He has Omaha
kidding.
Lancers gear.
He had an orange helmet on.
Right, and he's buzzing around taking a rookie lap and looking around, and then all of a sudden the ref's like, "Yeah, too early." And
That was
Pando was
crazy.
mad at the guy for opening
Open
the gate.
the door.
Is it before the refs? Is that the issue? Was because
can't go
I
out
heard on the
before the
radio
refs.
guys that
Can't
said
go
that
out
before the
before the
refs. Yeah,
So you have
it's
to-
pathetic.
But
Yeah.
but
You have
Rules
to
are
wait.
rules.
I know.
rules are rules. And then so now it's 5-on-4 to start the game, and boom, 30 seconds in. That was a great. That guy Leonard.
Oh,
I'm telling you, man,
He's a dog.
He's
he
nasty.
is a dog. He
Yeah.
can skate. He goes right to the net. He knows the angles.
Yeah.
No, he's a
I
great
mean,
player.
That was a great weekend.
Turned
of
down
hockey.
Washington to
Great
stay
weekend
here,
of
right?
It was so good.
4 months. He's going to be in the playoffs with the
be in the
Capitals.
play-
Probably. I imagine. I can't
he's
imagine.
great.
He's that whole line is great. And then you add Teddy Stiga into the mix, who
he's
had the
awesome.
game-winning goal in the World Juniors.
But these guys, like when Brownie was here, talking about how he recruits and
Yeah.
the skating, they got to be able to skate. You know, they can.
Yeah.
That team can fly, and they are better than BU. Like they are
yeah.
faster.
Yeah, you could tell that.
I mean, it was just like up and down the ice. I watched both games on TV.
It was
Why don't you do the hockey games?
No
We
comment.
just had that discussion before we went
The
on the air.
announcing,
He
I
doesn't know.
I don't want to
He
get in
doesn't know
trouble.
blue line from a red line.
Yes, I do. Of course I did. I could do anything. I've done
That's the
arena
one weird
football.
thing about growing up here. It's hockey, but you have to be able to skate, and you got to be tough, and you have to be able to. You just have to be able to do a lot of different things
Right.
at once. Like just skating is hard enough. If anyone's never done it,
That when I watch it as obviously a lay person watching hockey. Now I grew up with hockey. My two older brothers play, but I'm not. I'm a football coach.
Yep.
I am amazed at how these guys like take Leonard, how fast he can skate while handling the puck. Then the touch. Like he's a great passer.
He is.
Yeah.
The way he passes, he sees then the shots on the. I mean, I'm just like, man, that.
Well, remember Greg Brown said that he has that innate sense
Yeah, he does.
that
yeah.
all great players
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
And you
Instincts.
knows. It's like eyes in the back of your head.
Yeah.
You talked about
Instincts.
Johnny Gaudreau had that.
Yeah.
stops and starts, turns, all of that stuff, and then to be able to see it 'cause it's going so fast. And if you watch it on TV is great, but I'd say hockey is one of those sports that you
Yeah.
see
You
live.
got to see it live.
Yep.
Yeah,
Holy
no
moly.
doubt. No, much better live.
It's
Much
a
better live.
great spectator sport.
Did you go last night?
I did not. I'm going to the Bean Pot.
Yeah.
I talk to I tell my kids all the time, and they haven't been to many hockey games. I'm like, guys, trust me. I grew up going to Bruins games. My dad had season tickets.
Yeah, love the Bruins.
Loved it.
Yeah.
But being there is different. And I watch them on TV, but it's being there. It's you get a sense of how tough a sport it is.
Yeah, no doubt. You know what was on yesterday? I was taking care of my kid and the Ray Bork. Remember the Ray Bork, the show on Neston about the tribute to Ray
Yep.
Bork with
Yeah.
the banquet and
Yeah.
when he took off the
Yeah.
jersey and gave it to Espo. And,
Yep.
What a
What a
thing.
night that was.
That was
Some legendary
Goosebumps.
guys.
That
right
was
there.
incredible.
Just-
We were in high school. I
Yeah.
remember watching it, and I was like, "That is the coolest thing I've ever seen." That is
it's such
so
a
cool.
it's such a grind the whole season, and then the to get to the Stanley Cup and to win that, like you got to play 4 7-game series by the
Yeah.
end. It's literally like another quarter to a third of a season.
It's a grind.
Oh, yeah.
And it just changes the physicality and
Yep.
it's really the toughest sport championship to win. But those guys are really they're at another level.
no,
No
they have
question.
that. It's a football mentality,
No doubt.
isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's and I
Talking
think
to Wilbury last week.
My
you got a sense.
brother Tommy, who played hockey all the way through, he always, was busting my chops about the toughness, what Mute just said about the grind of the Stanley Cup playoffs versus winning a Super Bowl. I'm like, look, man, they're both very difficult to do, and they're both require a grind. But there is, how many 7? If you play, however, what is it, 4 7-game series or whatever to win a Stanley Cup? That's
brutal.
incredible grind.
That is brutal.
Yeah, and there are a lot of car crashes. Like you watch the hits, it's just like
Yeah.
football. It's
Yeah.
like when you're running into. I mean, it's football. You got 3rd and 1, and you got to get to the line.
Yeah.
Like in hockey,
Yeah.
it's like I got to get to this line,
Yeah.
or I'm letting my team down, and I know I'm going to get killed.
No doubt, taking it for the team.
It's like quarterbacks though. You coming back in there, and they always give the crap about quarterbacks not getting hit in practice. I'm like, yeah,
Because they get
they're the one.
tattooed in the games.
Right, we're the only position that really doesn't get to defend themselves.
Right, no doubt.
And you have to be able to sit there and know you're going to get your teeth knocked in, but you have to do it.
And that's a big part of, again, going back to recruiting a quarterback. Like I always say, can he look down the barrel of a gun and deliver the throw? Meaning, like, somebody's going to whiff on a block, but if you have a guy that ducks or he sees the rush, you just don't have a guy. If you have a guy that can just stand in there and deliver it with this guy bearing down on him, that's a big characteristic that people say, how do you look for this? And you watch that tape and you can see, like,
I talked to Ted Johnson earlier today, who's going to come on the podcast.
Great.
And I asked him, what was the best hit that you've ever had? Like the most punishing hit.
He's a very hard hitter.
Yeah.
But he remembered it clearly. It was Jerome Bettis.
Yeah.
And it was on ESPN for years.
Yep.
And he literally decleated Jerome Bettis, which is 260 pounds.
Yeah.
He said it was like a car crash.
Yeah.
Well, my highlights were I was the first clip for 2 first-round draft picks out of Miami. Kennard Lang and Kenny Holmes. It was them smoking me, and my uncle's calling me on TV, and they're like, "Hey, you're on TV getting killed again." And then 15 minutes later, they're like, Kennard Lang gets picked. They're like, "Oh, you just were on TV again." I'm like, "That's the highlight of my life." But you know what? It's funny because I watching the national championship game, and there's subtle plays that everyone sees the highlights and the big plays, but I'm going to tell you a subtle big play that happened in that game. It's 3rd and 7 for Ohio State. Notre Dame's starting to come back. Will Howard, they send a pressure. Will Howard stands in, waits for his receiver to come out of a break. He was gonna leave. He was trying to leave the pocket, but he reset his feet because a free guy was coming. He took the hit and delivers a great throw that extends the change. They score and kind of get momentum back.
Yep.
But those little ones are the game winners.
Yeah,
Everyone wants to see the highlight bombs and all the touchdown ones, but when you move the sticks there, when momentum's going against you, holy moly!
No doubt.
Howard was on fire.
Yeah, he had a good playoff run.
Yeah,
had a great.
Was a
That
great,
surprised you? It was that
great
easy
game.
for
Great game.
Ohio State?
No, they were clearly the best team. I know they had a couple hiccups during the season, Oregon and Michigan, but they were. I mean, they if you just look at their offense, their 2 running backs will be very good NFL players. The receivers, there's 4 or 5 receivers, not just Jermaine Smith, that will all play in the NFL. Will Howard will play in the NFL. They have G. Scott, the tight end, is a very good player. Donovan Jackson, they had a guard. He was a guard. They moved him out to left tackle. Seth McLaughlin got hurt, but they have
ton of guys.
They had a lot of guys. Yeah, and they were loaded on Caleb Downs. He's a great. Did you?
Player. I know Mute's an Ohio State guy, but did you read about Nina Day and the abuse she got?
It's terrible.
Beyond the pale.
That's ridiculous.
Like Mariah Day's wife.
Look, I get it. I mean, I get it. But I mean, there's I get the rivalry, and I was there for a month. I understand it. I mean, it's everywhere, and I understand it. But I mean, good Lord, like there's other games.
They had a higher
The guy's
security.
70-10.
I know.
They had a higher
He's
security.
70-10 with a national
He's
championship.
like top 3, right? And
He's
wins
got a better
top 5 all
It's
time.
like Newt Rockney and one other guy are the only guys that have a better winning percentage through 80 games or something.
it's
Pathetic.
He's clearly
The rabbit.
outstanding coach.
Yeah.
And it's crazy insane to see the people in the commentary that come from that. I mean, obviously I still have ties there. I still have a lot of friends that are Ohio State guys. Obviously Browns fans too, tortured souls. But it's the amount that the coaches have to go through in him when you see that, and you can see it on his face.
Yeah.
It wears on you. It's like, hey, like I'll take it. The old Mike Gundy. I'm a man, right? Like it's like I'll
Come at
take
me.
it, but don't start taking it into like my wife's at a grocery store and she's getting berated for this. Like, come on, people.
Coach, you get to catch up with Ryan after that, or no?
Text.
Yeah,
Yep, text.
it's got to
Him
be
and Chip.
fired up.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it's huge to be able
For
to
him and
do
Chip,
that.
that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all the stuff they've gone through
guys.
back when
Yeah.
like that's your coach in college.
Yeah.
Think about
UNH,
that.
yeah.
If you
Very
you got
cool.
to have that experience with one of the your mentors that you would bring back or
He
something like that.
He brought back Sean McConnell was there.
Yep.
It was McConnell.
McDonald.
Sorry, Sean
That
McDonald.
never happens.
Yep.
You,
Oh, that's a
the name?
rare.
Oh, we're gonna keep that one in.
Keep that one in.
You always got to correct them.
He's 6. He's 6. But is also his basketball coach or his wife's uncle, I think, is a legendary basketball coach in New Hampshire.
I mean, he has a lot of great. He's got a lot of family up there. He's got brothers, brother-in-laws. He's got a lot of. Yeah, there's a lot of connections in New Hampshire.
Yeah, it's a pretty good line. But no, I just think just reading that, they literally had security at their house throughout after the Michigan game. And the funny thing was, they come back from the championship, and they drive up, and Ryan says to the guy, "You can go home now." We're good. We won.
great.
We're good.
I just think it's amazing that 16, 17 games. What was it? 17.
Yeah, it's a long
If they would have
season.
played in the championship game, it would have been 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like here it was like 11, 12 tops.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
it's like
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we
That's-
played 13 games.
Yeah.
Do they have? Joe Klatt went off on this. I know I like Joe Klatt, but he went off on this about the fact the championship game got buried. Not enough bang for the buck for college football. Pro football takes away from it. Playoffs take away from it. Should it be on January 1st?
I mean, I think that they have to look at the whole format of the college football playoff, first of all. I don't necessarily know how you would do it on January 1st, but I just think they, for some of those teams that got a bye and things like that, like, they have to be, they have to go back to making the regular season more important. The regular season cannot be, the regular season has to be very important. If you're at, Boston College and you catch lightning in a bottle and you win 11 games in a year, you've got to have a shot to be in the 12-team playoff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Regardless of conference championship games and all that. And so I think they have to look at the whole format of it. I don't know about moving. I was on the EEI show and Greg Hill was bringing up the same point that the ratings for the national championship game were down. I mean, I'm not sure how ratings work and all that, but I mean, I thought it was a great game. Notre Dame came back, and
It was a great game, but I think
I
there's
don't
still
know.
20 million people watching.
Yeah,
that.
it was
So
still
you
right.
could say ratings down, but like by the way, go take that and compare it to a lot of other stuff. That's a huge. Trust me, the sponsors are not crying about
22
the
million.
ratings being
People
down.
are also looking at it differently too. It's not just cable anymore. It's YouTube. It's all those platforms. So is that all counted into that 20 million?
Yeah, exactly. And-
So like there could be 5 million. I mean, I have YouTube TV. Does that count in the ratings of
believe it
20
does.
million? It does.
Yeah, but you have the 7 different ESPNs you can watch it on. You can watch like the McAfee
And
version.
that's the problem.
Exactly. How
That's
is it
That's the
determined?
problem. Because you have like the Manning casts, that stuff. Like
Because
that takes away from the main product.
Because what I will say is, having
I
been in both pro and college, the popularity of college football right now, I think, is at an all-time high.
It is.
Agreed.
I mean, the college game day show, just our games, like our Syracuse, just in this area, the popularity of BC football is up right now.
No
you know what I mean?
question.
So like, and that's just us here in this region. I mean, I just think, I don't know. I'm not sure how the ratings are put together and all that, but
Well, some of it it's regionalized, one, but then two, it's you have Ohio State, which doesn't they have their rabid fan base, and there's people out west that could care less. It also, the participants matter. Notre Dame, it's either they're the Yankees, they're either loved or hated.
right.
So it's like you get that,
Well,
and
I
it's
think-
Midwest kind of. They're only about 4 hours away from each other, so do you kind of. There's a lot of things that you can look into in it, but it was still. I thought it was still a very good game.
Yep.
Agreed.
based on the popularity of BC, we do know when this comes out, we'll have our schedule in our hand. It will be on our refrigerator. The BC football schedule for 2025. You open with Fordham,
Yep.
and then it really cranks up. You go to Michigan State,
Yep.
and you go to Stanford. That's
Yep.
back to back. So, to me, we've all been doing this a long time. This is one of the best schedules I've seen.
Yeah, it is. It's an exciting schedule. You just name the first three, and then you've got home games with Clemson, SMU, and Notre Dame. So I think you've got a great, attractive home schedule for the fans. The BC fans, the Boston fans, to be able to come on a Saturday and come to a game. And so yeah, we're very excited. It gives us a lot to shoot for. Our guys have been back for 2 weeks now, working in the weight room. They're on a 7-week program before we start spring practice. So we get back off the road next week, February. We start working with them, and it's good. I'm excited about this team. It's a brand new team, a lot of new faces, but I'm very, very excited about the team. So I'm looking forward to starting that work with them in February.
And these 7 weeks are the most vital, important
Yeah.
for these guys. They get bigger, stronger. This is the.
Yeah.
These are the ones as a player I dreaded. You'd have to get up and run in, and it's the puke buckets. And
Yeah,
all of it,
that's
because
right.
it was just like you're taking your. Oh yeah, but this is back in the Plex and stuff. You didn't have the nice indoor facility,
Yeah.
but you're running, you're lifting every single day. This is where you see the big jumps from
Yeah.
a lot of your young guys that they actually get all that time in. You look at the schedule, and it was funny, and we mentioned it when Ciaccio sent it out yesterday. What are your thoughts? Like, you get 2 road games early in the year, and then basically you have 3 road games for the next 2 months. Like, would you rather just front load it like that, and then you're kind of predominantly home for the rest of the time, right?
Yeah,
Minus a trip or here or there.
It's hard as from a coaching perspective. I don't look at it like that. I just kind of look at it and then I start to plan. Okay, like we need to plan for the travel out to the West Coast, the travel to the Midwest. We need to plan for what those road games are going to be like relative to crowd noise and is it grass, is it turf, whatever, all the different things that go into road game. We need to play better on the road. We were in some really close games on the road this past year, Virginia, Missouri, even Virginia Tech. It was a blowout in the beginning, but we came back and we had a chance, and we got to do better. We got to do better than having a chance. So I think one of our emphasis will be during spring practice, training camp is there'll be a road game environment. Somehow we'll create that in the off season here because we have to play better on the road. You can do so if you can play really good at home and you go out there and win some really important road games, then you're going to be where you want to be.
You mentioned this during the year, especially when you kind of have those struggles. Like, it's not easy to win football games, right?
Right.
But you said a lot, even in talking with me or in the media, it's like this team just needs to learn how to finish. We need to learn how to win. Yeah. How are you able to, how does that lesson get instilled? Yeah. How do you teach that?
Yeah, I think there's several ways to do that. I'm doing a lot of clinics this off season in February and March, and so I was putting together a clinic deal before you guys came in, and that's one of the things that we're really going to emphasize. So first of all, I think you need to show them examples on film. You need instead of just standing up and telling the team, hey, you need to finish. Like that's not really. It's more about here's what happened. Here was a key part of the game, and here's a better way that we could have handled this, or if we take care of the ball here, or we really lock in and we understand, we anticipate better what they're going to do in this situation. Whatever that lesson might be for that example, we'll teach that. Then. When you go out on the field, it will be about finishing. It will be about, hey, finish this drill, finish this team period, finish this practice. Like, one of the things that we struggled with last year, because it was a new way of practicing, our way of practicing, we're not out there forever, but it's physically demanding, most of our practices. And our practices would all start out like a house of fire. I mean, it was good. Like, our guys were ready and they were ready to go. But as the practice went on, many times during the year, it started to dip. And that's where we cannot do that anymore. If I feel that thing starting to dip again, I'm going to blow that whistle, bring them up, I'm going to start it over again. Because we have to figure out how to, because practice is never like a game. You know this, Mute. But you have to make practice as similar to a game as you possibly can. And we got to finish practice better. Does that make sense? So,
because I think of the times when we go back to the 2-minute. I always say that the true definition of a quarterback is how they perform in a 2-minute drill.
Yep.
Right. That's when you know what you got.
Yep.
But that's usually in end of a half, end of a game.
Yep.
So you're tired. You're gassed. Your guys are gassed in front of you. Yeah. How do you get the most out of yourself when it's and it's the simple thing. It's okay, I was lazy on my drop. Yep. I didn't get my feet set.
Right.
And those things are the difference makers. But it's a mentality.
Yep.
I'm not tired. I've done this before. I've pushed through this, or I've seen the success in doing it. But it's so much more mental than it is physical.
It is.
And that's the tough thing. You have to be mentally stronger. Like anyone can go lift, run, and do all that other stuff, but who's going to be the mentally stronger guy that's not going to bend?
Yeah. And having the ability to truly understand. Like I saw this interview the other day. It was with maybe it was Peyton Manning, or really when his career started to take off is when he really stopped thinking about the result of the game. He thought about each and every single play. All right, be able to compartmentalize. Brady was awesome at this. He could take the play, forget about what just happened on the previous play, remember it if some of that information pertained to this play, but just understand that this is the most important play. And that's what our guys need to do. A lot of times young kids now, they're really worried about the outcome, the result. Like, we're down by we're down by 14. Oh, we're going to lose. No. Play the next play. We have to really, really do a better job of that. And when we did that at the end of the season, not the bowl game, but the Pitt and the Syracuse and the North Carolina, we ended up playing pretty well because they were very locked into the next play. And I think that's another way that we have to, approach the spring practice, training camp, those types of things.
Interesting times, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You got a lot of time on the road. You've been listening to your playlist.
My playlist.
Great playlist.
You loves the playlist.
You updated it?
No, I just add to it.
Do you have Barry Manilow on there?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Mute's favorite.
Mute's a
I've got
Manilow
everything.
guy.
Jewish Frank
I've got
Sinatra. The guy's the man.
Manilow. I got Lil Durk. I got T.I.
Sure.
I got Lionel Richie and Diana Ross. I got Jason Aldean.
Endless
I got
Love.
Cody
Very
Johnson. Luther Vandross. Stain.
Man. Yeah, you're
Really?
really
You're all over the place.
I
So
listen to
you're-
everything. These guys can't believe it. I'm like, I'll listen to. I got Marky Mark
I'm
and
so
the Funky
locked
Bunch.
into my
see,
box.
Yeah,
Crosby,
I
Stills,
have,
Nash and Young.
we may have to throw a playlist here because I kind of go. I'll go the gamut. Like I'll throw some Phantom in there, Phantom of the Opera. Like I'll have that stuff.
Yeah,
I'll have.
I'm out on that.
Shabuzi.
Oh yeah,
Shabuzi
is great.
Ben knows I like
Blue
Shabuzi.
Oyster Cult's like
Oh,
right
I
up
love
next.
Blue.
Like,
I
right?
love Blue. I got that.
You
down
gotta
there
love that cowbell.
Journey.
I just saw it's Saturday Night Live documentary.
Toto. I got Toto.
Yeah.
No one's got Yacht Rock
Hold the
Radio
line.
on there? Just Yacht Rock Radio.
Yacht Rock's good.
Yacht Rock is great.
Did you see the
Little
documentary on
Boss
that?
Gags.
Sean
Yacht Rock
Kingston.
Radio documentary was tremendous.
I did watch that.
We had
Michael
I-
McDonald,
Pink.
Christopher Cross.
Pink Eyed Bone
Saw her
Thugs and
live. She
Harmony.
was
That's an
awesome.
old school Cleveland
Yep.
rap group.
Rihanna.
Rihanna.
Yes, you got to be able to have this. I got to relate to
You
the
gonna like
kids.
Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl?
Absolutely.
You know Kendrick Lamar?
I
guy?
listen to all different types of
You
music.
just named off like
Oh, the
an
last-
eclectic
That was a popular
playlist.
part of our last
I
pod.
know.
People were telling me about it. They're like, "Did he really listen to all those guys?"
So,
Yeah.
so you when
Love
you're on the
music.
road,
Yeah.
it's like the jamming of music, no like podcast or like self help stuff or like really examination of life stuff.
I wouldn't say it's a lot of music. I when I'm driving, like if I'm driving, I'll listen to a podcast that's really interesting, right? So like I'll listen to, like the other day I listened to Coach Saban on the Pivot, or I'll listen to Mike Krzyzewski was on an awesome podcast with a couple guys that played for him at Duke. That they have a podcast now, and he talked. I mean, his Olympic team stories are incredible, and so then I'll get some of those clips and I'll send them to Kevin Riley because a lot of that's videoed too, and we'll show them to the team. So that's kind of what I do when I'm driving. I don't listen to as much music when I'm driving.
Did you listen to the podcast I sent you with Julian Edelman with Rich Orenberger?
You're about one of 10 people that have sent me
All right.
the podcast with Rich Orenberger.
He's
Oh, yeah.
hilarious.
Invitation.
He's just funny.
So you're talking about him.
Rich Orenberger is one of the greatest guys in the world.
Yeah.
Played at Penn State. Awesome guy.
Yeah.
Like one of the top 5 funniest guys. But this whole teapot thing,
Yeah.
I mean, Brady was the teapot, and then it got
right.
flipped around on me.
Yep.
And so now it's just grown into this whole thing.
We have
Embrace the
one
teapot.
sideline argument and it's all your fault, right?
I didn't yell at everybody in meetings all the time. I promise you I didn't.
I just sent it. I'm looking out for you, Coach.
Orenberger's got this whole imitation now, and I love Orenberger, but I mean, God,
Oh, you got to bring him in front of the team. If he
He's
doesn't,
the best.
I
He's
mean,
the
that
best.
would your guys would love that. There is
His-
nothing better than the team the coach
He's got
imitation.
a guy on his team that does it. Eric Starr.
Yeah, I got a guy that imitates me, Eric Doherty.
Does he really? Is he good?
Yeah, he's very good. Very good.
When you first heard it, did you get pissed or did you
No,
like
no,
laugh?
I love it. It's very funny. When I was on Hard Knocks, there's a scene where you can YouTube it. Where we had a guy named was it Kari Lee?
Yeah.
Kari Lee did a whole skit on me, and it was hilarious. And then the next day we traded him to the Bears.
Oh my God! No.
Yeah. So like all these guys, JJ Watt was like, I mean, God, all he did was imitate you. Like, I'm like, I didn't trade him because I didn't trade him. First of all, the GM
We
traded
put that
him.
clip in episode
Well,
27.
by the way, I saw that Will Compton just does a tremendous Vrabel
No,
one.
he does.
Oh
He
my
does.
God,
That was
He's
good.
Yeah.
Vrabel's
We saw
I
that
listened to
on
that
YouTube.
one. If you got a guy that could do it, there's nothing that the team loves more than that. Who was the kid down in Alabama that did the Saban one?
That was that guy's very funny. He's actually a coach. He worked camp with me when I first went to Alabama. He's a very funny guy.
The offensive linemen
hilarious
are the
story.
guys that you got because they're the most miserable guys.
Yes,
right.
yes.
But they're also the funniest.
They're also the
because
funniest.
they're always hot.
Good culture of guys.
Yeah,
sweat a lot.
They're always hot. They're always hot. They're constantly hot.
Dan Collins.
Yeah, he's lost a lot of weight. A lot of these,
All these guys.
Yeah.
Copen lost a lot of weight.
Well,
Dan Conley.
Yeah,
Dan Conley.
Conley.
No, I'm talking about he played with Dan Collins.
Oh, Dan Collins. Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you meant Dan Conley.
No, I know.
from the
but
I know
these guys either go from
was hoping
300
you
to
had
400 or
that you got.
300 to 200.
I know. I saw
Yeah.
last week. I was in I saw Augie Hoffman, who was a great offensive lineman here, and he is in
Which way did he go?
He weighs. He looks like a bodybuilder. He's like 215 pounds, jacked up, must work out, eating correct. Like
just the tackle for the Browns did that. What's his name?
Thomas.
Joe Thomas. Yeah. He dropped like
One of the best
150
Browns
pounds.
of all time.
I thought you were going to say Paul Zukowskis.
Saw him on Friday.
Cuddle
at
cakes.
BCI.
Cuddle.
He's the best. I love Paul Zukowski.
He's the best.
The Z-Man is awesome.
He's a great guy.
David Bowman are coaching there. They had a great year.
They're
at BCI.
doing a good
Kudos to
job.
them.
That Catholic conference, man, that's where it's at.
Some good football.
It is loaded. Well, Mute, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
Appreciate it. That was
Love to
great.
have you
Thank
on.
you very much.
I can't believe
outstanding
Hanford
work.
Dixon got no love here. That's kind of
He's a Cleveland Brown.
yeah, but he was like one of the original
I
dogs.
know. You're in Boston.
Keep it local.
You gotta keep it local.
Sit, dude.
I know. I've only lived here for 30-some
I know,
years
right?
now.
Can't take the Cleveland out of the kid, man. We didn't even talk Guardians / Bob Uecker / Indians.
Yeah, very sad. One of the Bob Uecker, it's just legendary stuff. Just a bit outside.
Oh, my
I mean,
God.
the stories that came from him, like when he passed, those are the best. Like,
Yeah.
and everyone said he was like the most genuine, best guy.
Yeah.
He was just one of the fellas all
one
the
of the
time.
guys.
Great movie.
He
Major
was
League.
best
Great
when
movie.
he was, I forget who talked about, they were in the booth with him. It's probably an ex-player, and how unfiltered he was, like in between pitches.
Yeah.
The
Was it like Kirk Gowdy?
the filth that we can't
Thanks,
repeat.
Wes.
But he would literally do it in between pitches. He'd put the cough mic button on and say to the guy, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, yeah,
Back to the game.
Oh, he was huge.
Blah, 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 blah. Back to the game.
He was the best. He's awesome.
Yeah, it's he
Love
was.
that
We only got one hit.
Yeah,
Can't say that on the air. No one's listening anyway. It's like that's just such a natural thing to say. Because it's so true.
Drive the curveball
Yeah.
on this. Adjusted. That's ball 12.
How are these
Ball
guys
18.
laying off these close pitches? Just a bit outside.
where the hell did we get him from?
California people.
Yeah, we could close the book on Kellner. Thank God.
I hope you watch Major League in the aftermath of his death.
Oh yeah,
the best.
those clips are the best. But the best ones is when he's on with Carson.
Oh, yeah,
when he was
those-
on with Johnny
yeah,
Carson,
yeah.
like he got
That's
guys,
awesome.
like he had a guy spit out his coffee.
Yeah.
And that was
Very
hard to
funny
do with
guy.
Johnny Carson.
Yeah, no doubt.
Bill, good luck on the road.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, good luck in
Episode
Cleveland.
29 in the books.
Thank you,
Sterling
sir.
Moore. Josh, as always, I'm Meter. This is the Bill O'Brien Podcast. Thanks for listening, everyone.